Welcome to the Be Happy Now show. Flex your soul connection muscle and be your inner guide to fulfillment and purpose. I'm Claudia-Sam. If you know that you're here for a bigger reason, this is the place to be. Together, we ditch the self-care guilt and quit the go with less fear and more trust. Tune in to living life in alignment with your full potential. The Be Happy Now show starts now. Hello, welcome. Today's episode is all about flowing out of fight or flight. And actually right now we've got a Zoom room filled with amazing human beings and aligned soul who are here for a live pop-up workshop. So when you join the Be Happy Now show crew, you will get all of the details for the monthly free pop-up workshop. So be sure to check out the BeHappyNowShow.com and join us. Why I decided to play with the topic of flowing out of fight or flight is because I started hearing in my clients and within my community that there were different overthinking patterns that were occurring in their lives. I was hearing things like, Claudia-Sam, I can't turn my brain off. I go to bed and then I wake up in the middle of the night and I think about all these things that I have to do. I think about if I did things right, if I said the right thing. I'm thinking about all the to-do list and especially often the what if negatives, the imagination as to where the mind can actually take us. And raise your hand or say it in the chat, or as you listen to this, actually lift your hand. Have you ever felt like you are stuck inside your brain, not grounded into your own 2 feet, and like you are in this fight or flight mode? Well, this episode is for you. And listen, if you're here, it's probably because you want to make an impact in the world. If you're part of my community, you must have this inner light that shines within you that makes you just tapped into this passionate living. Your intuition knows that you're here for a bigger reason. And to access your passion, your mission in this life, to live life on purpose, we get to take you out of fight or flight, man. Okay, let's get real. So I'm going to give you an analogy so that we kind of have the same jargon today that we can use and the same types of words that we can use and resonate with. But before I do that, I would love for you to use your notebook and have your notebook and start writing down a few keywords of the impact that you want to have or create in the world. When you think about you stepping into the fullness of who you are, you as a writer, you as a teacher, you as a guide, you as a speaker, you as a leader, with the ripple effects impact that you have in the world, how does that make you feel? What is that impact? Right now, as we begin this session, we're painting it big. We're setting the tone for this is what I want to create in my life. I know I want to create impact. I know I don't want to keep turning my brain off and being stuck and overwhelmed, ungrounded, tired. I know I don't want that. So what is the impact that you want or that you want to create in the world? Please share that in the comments. Often stuck? Yes, I totally get it. So while we have that big picture in mind, we're going to retract a little bit, okay? We're going to think about the fight or flight mode and what that means for us. I'm going to give you this example that I said I would give you. Okay. Fight or flight. This is the image. This is the visualization, what's the word? The example that I'm giving for today. One of the dogs that I'm dog sitting, okay, this is Leon. big black puppy dog. And what he has in our backyard is a big, long clothing line from one big tree to another big tree. And then he has another string, or well, it's big, solid metal string cord rope that is from the clothing line to the back of his collar thingy. Okay. So he can travel all along this clothing line very freely. He has a lot of freedom, a lot of space. And sometimes, well, he gets to one end and then he'll go around the tree. And then he'll go around the tree, and then he'll go around the tree. And then he'll find himself stuck at the end of the tree. And then I will hear him. "Arr, arr, arr." And then he sounds like he's being beaten up. He sounds like it's not, his life isn't fun. And he howls, he yells, he digs holes, he pulls on the cord on the rope, and it's almost like his energy is going to take down the tree. That's almost how it feels like. And sometimes he's smart, because sometimes he knows that if he just calms down, if he takes a few breaths, if he sits down and he notices where he's at, he goes around the tree the other way and untangles himself. And there he is again, free on the clothing line. Well, ish, because that's how I can explain it to you. And then he is free. So when have you been in this situation where you feel like you want to convince the tree that you're stronger than it? You want to get out of this situation. You want to pull so hard. That's the fight. That's the fight mode. You want to convince somebody. You act fast, out of emotions. That's the fight. And flight could also be like, I'm ignoring actually that I'm stuck to the tree. I'm going to ignore that I'm actually around this tree. That might happen too. When have you last been in a situation like this? Or does this metaphor even resonate with you? Do you feel what I mean? I'm going to share an image with you so that maybe you get it in another way. This is the fight or flight scale, okay? You're going to imagine that on the right there is the acting from emotions. On the far right, that is where you are in fight or flight mode. We're going to discover where you are on the scale. That is when you are hung around this tree and you are just wanting to pull, you're overthinking, you're going around the tree, you're seeing the same thing. It's almost like that. I can't turn my brain off. I'm going to get stuck on the fact that I just need to get out of this situation. It just needs to go this specific way. Even by me sharing this, I feel like my body clench and tighten up like, ooh, the energy is not circulating very well when I say that. When we're talking about this specific situation of overthinking, being in a reaction mode, trying to force, to prove, to convince, to fight, or to avoid what's actually happening, like turning your head away from situations, how does that feel in your body? How does that feel in your body? And when have you last been in that situation? Has it been recent? Does it happen often? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does happen often. Because one thing that I want to say is that we can go up and down this scale many, many times throughout a day. Like we can. When we get triggered, we can feel like, oh, we want to be in anger. We want to do the emotion. We want to respond very quickly to a text. Oh yeah, you want to send me that? Look what I can do. Like that type of reactivity is us acting from a fight or flight mode. And I'm going to talk about the other energies that you can choose from instead. The other opposite, or the opposite of this scale, would be you being free, like Leon being free on the clothing line because he was able to, well, tune in, pause, feel, be with the, ooh, I'm stuck around the tree. Ooh, let me choose differently instead of fighting my way or forgetting that I'm around the tree. I'm just going to pause so that I can be free. So if you're on the farther left of the scale, that would be having intuitive clarity, knowing that your intuition is your guide, being able to pause, to be with what is, feeling like there's peace of mind, feeling like you don't have to prove or convince anyone of your worth because you know that you are worthy. You don't have to respond or react to something so quickly and with emotion because you know that you're not doing anything to please someone and that you are here to have your own human experience. So where are you on the scale? Are you closer to fight or flight towards the far right? Let's say that that would be 10. Okay, we're going to say that that is at 10 on the scale. So in the chat, you can write, where are you from 1 to 10? 1 being, I'm calm, I'm peace. I take a pause before I respond, and I tune into my intuition to know what to do. Where are you between 1 and 10 on the scale? I would really love to know. You play at that scale, Diane, like playing on a piano? Yeah. Going through a healing process like yours can make the place on the scale change daily. Totally. And the practices here are also to notice that we are at choice. And every time we are aware of where we are on the scale, we have suddenly changed our energy from disempowered to empowered because we are at choice, because we're aware of it. And we can shift out of it way more quickly when we're aware of it. It creates blocks and resistance for you and your body, Emma. So, Olivia, you find yourself more often in the flight mode in particular. Okay, at 7. Maura, at 7, some days 10. Okay, thank you. And Emma, you're feeling in the middle. Some days are different. Totally. Thank you so much for your awareness. This is powerful because now there's no more, to use the expression of having an elephant in the room, there's no more of that because you just pinpointed, oh, yeah, that's what's happening. I'm Claudia-Sam. I'm your soul connection coach, and I'm so excited that you're here on another episode of the Be Happy Now show. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is a live pop-up workshop interactive session where after the Be Happy Now show recording, we will have a live Q&A and coaching session. And I'm so excited. And if ever you do want to jump in and join the next one, then please go to thebehappynowshow.com and click to join the Be Happy Now show crew. Now, if it's the first time that we're meeting, as your soul connection coach, one of my passions is to help you as a leader, as a guide who knows that you're here for a bigger reason, to access your inner confidence so that you can be in your light, so that you can flow out of this state of being in a fight or flight, because you will tune into your intuition. Using my tune in method, that's what I'm so passionate and excited to help you to do. So today it's all about noticing where you are on the scale of the fight or flight mode. And I want to bring to the surface 2 other energies that you can choose from to actually flow out of that state and be able to recognize anytime you find yourself in fight or flight that you actually have a direction as to, okay, but what do I do when I'm in fight or flight so that I can go from a 10 or a 7 down to the 5 to the 4 to the 3 to the 2 to the 1, and keep practicing that. Keep flexing the soul connection muscle so that the time spent up towards the 10 on the scale can be lessened, okay, or lowered. Because notice how there's a gap between where you are and the freedom, right? The freedom of having the peace of mind, taking a pause, like Leon, going up and down the clothing line and feeling free and just going about as there's a gap between where you are and where you get to choose to be, where that possibility is for you. So we're going to bridge the gap today. And so to really be present into your own 2 feet and stop overthinking, one of the key things here is to be aware of how it feels in your body. So we kind of established that for some of you, you said that. Oh, hi, Cindy. So for you, it depends on how you're feeling before you reach the obstacle. Yeah, okay, totally. And so if the fight or flight, like Emma, you were saying that for you, it creates blocks and resistance, noticing where that feels in the body. Is it like, for me earlier when I was talking about it, it was almost as if my rib cage was squeezing in, almost like squeezing the breath out of the lungs. That's how it felt like for me. So how does that feel for you physically? Here's why this is important. Because your cells recognize, they have memory as to what you're comfortable with. And the more we tolerate how it feels in the body, the more the body thinks it's normal to feel that. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to shift it. We want to go, wait, okay, well, that's how it feels in fight or flight, but how does it feel to be in the opposite? One of the first questions I asked you was, what's the impact you want to have in the world or that you want to create in the world? How does it feel? Can you project yourself in the possibility of you having the impact that you want to have or create in the world? And how does that feel in your body? When I'm thinking about Danielle and you being a writer and stepping into your abundanceness and your creative flow, I feel the fun, I feel the joy, I feel the expansiveness. Perhaps that is so different than the stuck constrictive energy that you can feel in the body. So to be present in your own 2 feet, how do you want to feel in your body instead? How do you want to feel in your body instead? Here are the 4 types of energy. The first one was fight, right? A little bit like, actually, let's start with flight, because flight is totally ignoring. Flight is totally ignoring, being in ignorance, or rather avoidance of the whole situation, avoiding the feelings, avoiding the trigger, avoiding how it feels in the body, avoiding what we want to create, avoiding the inner potential to flow out of fight or flight, avoiding. Does that resonate with you? Olivia, you want to feel more patient with your body and within your path? Yes. Ooh, yes. Patience feels, I almost feel like I want to just sink back into a beautiful cloud-like couch and trust. So flight is avoiding that it's happening and just going about your day. Here's another way that flight happens: pushing down emotions, like piling them up one on top of the other. Have you ever exploded somewhere you don't feel safe? Yep, that's pretty much what happens when we are in flight mode. We push it all down until it explodes. The second energy is fight, like Leon trying to fight his way out of the tree, off of the closing line, like not really pausing and feeling as to, okay, what's the solution here? Here's the way out of this. Freeze normally is the other term that you would hear. I want to invite another term. Freeze. What if it was intentionally pausing? So you've got flight, fight, freeze, or intentionally pressing pause. Actually stepping back, creating space between the situation itself, between the reaction that you want, between the emotion that you are feeling, the anger, the rage, the impatience, the need to know right now. Pausing is intentionally freezing because you're not reacting, you're not responding, you're not feeling, you're just kind of separating yourself from what's actually happening so that you don't judge yourself, don't hate on yourself, and so that you can have more clarity of mind. And here's the next step. The fourth energy is feel. Feel. From flight to fight, to intentionally pausing, which would be freeze, to feel. What that means is to be with what is. And often we can't be with the emotion that's stuck under the anger that is feeling, because maybe the feeling that is really rooted down is you feel unimportant. Maybe it's that you feel pushed aside. Maybe it's that you feel like you're not respected. Maybe for Leon, at first it's like, I'm super angry. You're leaving me here. What did you do? And I'm stuck around the tree. It's your fault, your fault, your fault. And instead, when there's pausing, it's like, oh, actually, I feel like well, what would he feel? I don't know what he would feel. You get what I mean? Feeling the deeper rooted emotion. Maybe it's feeling alone. Maybe that's what it really is about. When we shine a light on what is actually present in our experience of life, when we are present with the emotion itself, we get to untangle ourselves from the tree. It's almost like if you go to bed feeling tired and knowing that you have all these things on your to-do list, and you maybe are overthinking about a specific situation or scenario that you're experiencing and you want to get out of it, but you keep thinking that you might be judged, you want to say the right thing. We kind of did an overview of this at the beginning. When we take a pause and we intentionally feel and are intentionally present with the emotion that we are feeling, not only are we no longer in flight or fight, but we get to sleep because the mind is tamed. The mind is no longer like Leon wanting to tear the tree apart because we shined a light on it. I'd love to know if this feels for you like it's actually opening up and allowing you for more clarity about how to flow out of flight or fight, instead of thinking that those are the only two ways. And remember, you get to go up and down this scale throughout the whole day. And so the more you practice this, the more you will feel like it's doable in an instant. Oh, I'm feeling this in my body right now. Oh, I could choose to act on it and be angry and respond and be disappointed from my response tomorrow. Or I could take a few breaths and be with how I'm actually feeling and how this is actually accessing a deeper part of my soul. Feeling unimportant and alone and pushed aside and not enough, those are deep feelings. And if we're in flight, we avoid them. If we're in fight, we're acting from the ignorance of them because we're only acting from a top tier emotion that would be the anger, for example. Thank you. When you want to make a difference in the world, you want to make an impact, you get to tune in to what you're really experiencing. Because from that place, you get to communicate. You get to learn how to communicate in a way that is in alignment with who you really are. Let me say that again. When you know that you're here for a bigger reason, that you are here to create a bigger impact in the world, it's not by being Leon around the tree fighting or fleeing the emotions in the situation that you are going to make the impact in the alignment of who you really are, that is in service to who you really are. It is by intentionally pausing, making a space between the situation, the reaction you want to have, the emotion that you have, and truly sitting with yourself, sitting with the emotion and being. By feeling these emotions, by tuning into them, that you will be in full alignment, that you will honor who you really are, that you will be able to show up in the fullness of who you are. And it's not by saying, never be in fight or flight. That's not what I'm saying. Because I'm saying that when you are intentionally aware, when you know, okay, this is what this is what I'm feeling. I'm aware that I'm in flight, or I'm aware that I'm in fight. I'm going to, with empowerment, choose to take a pause, to intentionally freeze, and then I'm going to feel. And that is you accessing your empowerment. So remember, the difference and the impact you want to create in the world, it is accessible because you get to choose it. You get to choose to access that from within your body. Okay? Okay. I'd love to know how this resonates with you. This is how you get control. This is how you turn your brain off, by shining a light on the emotions. And okay, there might be some uncertainty that come up, like, okay, but I don't know what the emotion is going to be. It's because it's not yet ingrained in your DNA, or rather your body, in your cells. It's not quote unquote muscle memory yet. So your body doesn't feel comfortable with that yet, but it can feel comfortable. Just like it can feel comfortable in anger and being like in a pity party, it can also feel comfortable in an aligned feeling of the whole human experience. Great. I'm glad you love it, Emma. I'm glad you love it, Maura. Thank you. This is the end of our first part of our pop-up workshop. This concludes the Flowing Out of Fight or Flight, Be Happy Now show episode. If ever you want to actually get this into practice, if you want to tune in and make this a regular practice for yourself, then I invite you to go to tuneinprogram.com and let's chat. Set up a chat to say yes to yourself, and let's explore and be curious about what can work for you to be grounded and present in your own 2 feet, to turn your brain, quote unquote, off, and to help you make the impact in the world as the leader that you are. Thank you for being here. You've been listening to the Be Happy Now show with me, Claudia-Sam. Flex your soul connection muscle and be your inner guide to fulfillment and purpose. Tune in live every Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on transformationtalkradio.com. You are worthy of being you and of connecting to what stops you from living the life you are meant to live. Access more soul connection coaching at claudiasamcoaching.com.